Afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Joanne. We're gonna take attendance. Jerry Stotowski, out here. Joanne Robinson. Present. Stuart, absent. Kelly Jensen, absent. Dominic Garnaja. Here. Patricia Caputa. Here. David Boaz. Here. And I'm here. Committee members, John Gregg. Absent.
Absent.
Richard Handelsman,
Present.
present. Okay. Okay, we do not have a quorum of the committee, but there are things in here that need to be moved forward. We do have one guest, I'm sorry, Maureen.
Thank you.
So I'm going to make a suggestion that we do this in combined officers and committee members, because some of these projects need to be moved forward without hesitation. Is there any objection to that? That we make it a combined committee, bids and officers? No. Hearing none, that's the way we're gonna do it. All right. Donald, you're up.
Holy mackerel, didn't give me no time at all. Hello, everyone. All right, you guys have all been through this because I sent it out to you, but I'm gonna just give reports real quick. What I'm looking for here is direction to move forward on these three projects. Project number one is the Century Village Drainage Project. As you all know, you might have noticed last night, we have a ponding problem on both sides of Century Village. And it requires redress, egress. Address.
Egress and ingress.
This committee authorized me to hire a subject expert or project manager. It's the same engineer that created the plans. So this engineer, Bartlett, created an RFP, the bid form. And that's what you have here in front of you. You also got it in your email. A lot of boilerplate, obviously, but this is fixing to be a high dollar job, so I think it's warranted. Anyway, you paid for it, here it is. What I'm looking for now is direction to put this out to 3 vendors, qualified vendors. I do not have any vendors in mind. My plan is to ask this engineer to suggest 2, and ask Danny Cruz to suggest another. Anyway, that's what I got. If somebody wants to make a motion, then we can ask questions.
The committee will make a motion. The committee will make a motion. That Donald Foster engage. I want to make it as short as possible.
Put the project out for bid.
We'll put the project out for bid.
Right, we're in discussion. Any questions?
Who is this person? I don't have any of those papers.
Yeah, I didn't print because it's a stack here, but there's one in front of you and here's another one.
Now I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. This is the document that'll go out to the vendors.
Okay.
Did you want to see this?
Yeah, now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That was created by them?
Yeah.
Did we have legal review?
We will need legal, hang on guys, we will need legal review when it comes down to negotiating a contract with an eventual vendor. Absolutely. This isn't a contract, this is just a big form. That's what we hired the subject expert for, which is our engineer.
Okay.
It is his expertise to create RFPs. So, yeah, when we get down to 1, then that goes to.
Okay.
So, pretty much all there is, we all know what we're doing with this project, right? Yes. Yeah. Pretty much. So that's all I'm looking for.
All right, so the motion to put Haverhill Drainage Project out to bid to 3 vendors. Motion was made by Richard Handelsman and seconded by Patricia Caputo. Is that the motion that was put on the table?
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yes.
Good. Do we have any more discussion on this particular issue? Okay, so we'll start with Richard Handelsman,
Yes.
David is not here, Joanne Robinson.
Yes.
Stuart Richland is not here, Kelly Jensen is not here. Dominic Garnaggio,
Yeah, yeah.
Patricia Caputo.
Yes.
David Boaz,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Passes.
Thank you, everyone. I'll get this out over the weekend and maybe we can get it done by next rainy season.
Sure.
Well, that's on Mr. Constable, the brains on Mr. David.
Yeah.
That's all.
All right, so let's move on to the next thing. This is the reserve study from the Association with Mayors. This proposal originated from your treasurer. Your treasurer and finance committee are looking for a roadmap for budget, future budgeting and reserves long term. This company, Association Reserves, was recommended by me. I worked with them on another property and had a very good experience. We're looking at, what was the
17,000 something.
yeah, he gave us two, I mean, you've all read the proposal of what a reserve study is. You have two options, option A, option B. I am recommending option A, the one-time full reserve study, the 17,600. And not the other one, which is really more for condominiums. And
Yeah, with the follow-up.
right, so anyway, that's what I've got. If someone would like to make a motion, get us into discussion, that'd be nice.
So, I move we accept option A. Reserve study. Mayor reserve study.
We now just at $17,600.
What was it?
There was a.
B would be a 3-year agreement with follow-ups, and that would be 15, 29, more than 70. That's not what I'm recommending.
Okay.
Need a second. Seconded by Mr. Boaz. Happy to answer any questions you might have on this.
With the.
Is this for the North Canal and this one?
No.
Oh, no.
David, you seconded that motion?
I did.
All right, how about I give a brief report of what this is, so that everybody knows what we're talking about. This is a big community, right? And UCO is responsible for a good portion of it, right? The parts that UCO owns and then what we maintain under contract. We have never done a comprehensive reserve study on all of the elements that are under our control and responsibility. For instance, roads. All right, that's just the beginning. What's under the roads? Drainage, storm drains, potable water, sewers, irrigation,
Did you
sing it?
Bridges.
Bridges.
bridges. Absolutely, perimeter fencing, signage. These are all the elements that, if we sat here and tried to think of them all, we'd be in. What this company specializes in is to go into large facilities like this and catalog all the things that are our responsibility and what is the service life, expected service of each one of these things. So maybe we've had arguments ad nauseam here about how long the roads have left. Well, none of us qualified to really know. That's an engineer's job.
Right.
And why, and does it mean if he says in 5 years we have to do the road? No, it's so that the finance department can create reserves and budgeting and salt away money so that we have it when these things come up. That's their space, multiple disciplinary. Anyway, that's what's going on here. And if we sit and talk, well, each of us could come up with one thing that's, oh yeah, there's that, it just goes on and on. So anyway, that's what your treasurer is asking for.
Because right now our reserves are a guess. They're a 50-year-old guess.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and it has little punctuation marks of, yeah, one time we did this, and one time we did that, years ago. Nothing is relative to today.
Correct.
Everything is somebody's somebody's attitude about what a reserve should be considered, and I personally believe in having professionals tell you
Right.
what's the real deal here.
I've been loafing around here for 10 years. And every once in a while I go into Dave and say, hey, Dave, we've never checked the insides of the storm drains. Good idea, Donald, let's do that. And over 2 years, we had a project where and I had to send all that to this company. But it was all ad hoc. It was just one of us would think about it and say,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Yeah.
It's good, but not ideal.
Do our reserves actually reflect the results of all that?
Exactly.
To what extent, you know, and when was the last time, you know?
We may find that we're over reserved.
And that's what I'm saying.
I doubt them.
We have a way of, it's just a way of looking at things, and, you know, I just think that it should be done from a professional point of view. As opposed to the way that it's been done traditionally.
Now, I have exactly one experience prior to this, very recently, with this company and with doing a reserve study. It was for a condominium, a 44-unit condominium. This company kicked my ass. I mean, I spent weeks every afternoon with these people looking at roofs and looking, you think, all right, it's a roof, we need roofs. But you know, realize there's also drainage in the roofs, there's electricity in the roofs, it's, you know, and these are what engineers do for us, you know, things that we just won't think of. you know. So anyway, that's it.
Moving on.
Okay, so that's the answer then to
Yeah.
option A or B. I really didn't have a personal, you know, I would prefer to go with the recommendation of the A. I don't see any point to doing
No.
2 follow-ups for $12,000.
In the previous experience I've had with this company, the board did go with option B, but it's a condominium. So things are gonna happen over the last few years. They're actually gonna do some of the work in the reserve study and then it'll be updated, it'll be updated again. So it's like a discount.
I will read the motion. If I needs to be corrected, I will correct it. Reserve study by Association Reserves in the amount of $17,600 for a complete CV UCO reserve fund.
Should you put in option A to make it clear that?
No, I put the dollar amount.
I know that.
What did I
You want option A? I have no
Option
problem.
A For $17,600,
Option A,
call it a backup.
so. Is that pretty much,
Yeah.
oh, right, Richard handles it,
Yes,
all right. John Gregg is not here, Jerry Satowski, not here, Joanne Robinson,
Yes.
Stuart Richland, not here, Kelly Jensen, not here, Dominic Garnagia.
Here.
Patricia Caputo,
Yes.
David Boaz,
Yes.
and me, yes, and motion carries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 passes. 6, 2, 0.
Alright, thank you. On to the next final agenda item. This irrigation pipe rerouting project. That's become somewhat of a hot issue because of the work that's happening at Reflection Bay. Back in around 2006, and we've heard this report from you before, UCO routed a long piece of irrigation main line on the golf course. Now remember, there was no fence back then. But clearly, the reason that it was routed where it was because there's a lot of infrastructure in the back of Golf Sage and the other buildings, and this was an easy and cheap way to do it. I was alerted to this situation back in 2017. And the thought back then was, let this going on at the golf course, by green bananas, well, now the bananas are yellow, little brown spots on. So. This is an over $100,000 project, so we're gonna go with a project manager. Project manager we hired with Eric Chabot, Charity Irrigation. What makes Eric a subject expert is that he has the highest level of state licensure that there is. He is a subject expert on irrigation. We hired him, by the way, he charged $85 of this. Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's
He's a
okay.
preferred vendor of ours.
Well, understand that he's also gonna be charging us because we've also engaged him as our project manager. So as the project moves, he's in charge of it and we're gonna be charged for that. But initially, yeah, $85. Eric designed the project, and the specifications. He bid it out to two vendors. One, I've never heard before, Mac Irrigation. And the second was Seacrest Services. Seacrest is the low bid. And Eric's recommendation is to go with the low bid, which is
185.
which is 185. Now, there's another one for 12,500.
Yeah,
That's already been approved and they're already doing that work. That's exploratory work.
okay, good.
So they're actually working on the project already.
And Seacrest can begin immediately.
Yes, and that's a problem right now with a lot of vendors. It's, you know, and we can't wait 6 months. Like I said, we have a long history with Seacrest. They know our irrigation system better than anybody. And so does Eric. So between one watching over the other, I feel very confident with this. Fausto's gonna ask me, did we let our counterparts at Reflection Bay know about this project? And the answer is yes, and I'll keep reminding them. So anyway, that's my recommendation, proposal from Seacrest, $185,904.86. And somebody could make a motion after that.
I think somebody else should name it.
Yeah.
I think somebody else.
So move.
So moved by Dave Bowens, seconded by,
For a change,
Joanne
Joanne
Robinson.
Robinson seconds it.
and I didn't include the specifications for this because it's a lot, but you guys saw the map last month.
Do we, Donald, do we need a second motion in order to use our infrastructure reserve funds?
No, I believe that's your
Can we
call,
make it, okay,
I believe that's your call, it always has been.
I didn't know, I'm still not 100% comfortable using reserve funds without an officer approval.
So here they are.
That's what I'm saying, I don't know, I think we should just include it in the motion rather
Yeah.
than make a separate motion. If
So-
you wanna just include it, is that okay, David, to include that the project will be paid using reserve funding?
If, I have no problem with it, but Fausto has declared this a combined meeting. That's sort of super floss
Yeah.
or flouse.
I just. I guess I
I
just
see
want,
nothing wrong with bringing it up at the next officers meeting as well.
anyway, yeah, I mean,
This is what I got. To accept Chabot Irrigation to oversee the reroute irrigation by Gulf's Edge. Vendor Seacrest amount $185,904.86. Funded by reserve funds. Motion was made by David Boaz and it was seconded by Joanne Robinson. Does that cover everything that we discussed?
Should the word infrastructure precede reserve funds?
Yeah, well, that's what it's called, infrastructure reserve.
Okay,
yeah, there is only one really reserve.
okay.
And if this isn't infrastructure, I don't know what it
Yeah,
is.
it's tight.
That's better than your other, like, your road.
Well, that, no, we have pool reserves, so we have one,
I
we have
added
one
the word-
account.
I added
Alright,
infrastructure reserve fund, that covers,
That covers it.
Okay.
all right,
yeah,
all right. Richard, I'm gonna call you on first.
the committee votes yes, Oaks hold it,
All right,
also.
Just a question on that.
yeah,
first.
I'm sorry.
That's all right, I thought we were still in discussion. I have no problem with this, but are we, or should we be taking this to the executive board and also the delegate?
Yes, I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is
I mean, I know the
$185,000.
reserves are there, but it's not an item,
Yeah.
budgeted item.
It's not an item, right, it's not a.
Great.
It's an extraordinary.
No, it's got, it'll definitely,
Okay.
That's a substance.
but it's still, we gotta go through, it's gotta come through here first.
I understand, just,
Uh,
so everybody that views this
Yes,
knows that we are going. to
Well, glad you
follow
brought it
the
up
procedure.
because
yeah,
sometimes we're all walk in knowing what we're gonna do, but
Right.
it's gotta get said.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
no, thank you
Okay.
for bringing that.
absolutely. Is there any other discussion before we pull the trigger? Dominic's got a question.
Along with the climate happenings that are going on. we would possibly have things 10 years from now that we never thought of that we had to do. So we can't prepare for everything, we can
Right,
do the best guess we can, and
Excellent.
the people who will be residing here are.
they're gonna love our crystal ball.
Yeah,
And
I'm gonna
we're
say,
trying to make
we
it
never voted that in,
Yeah.
it's 10
And
years.
it's basically trustees,
Yeah,
we're hoping that this is the expertise that will allow us to do the best
exactly.
decision we can.
I mean, we're using professionals to let us make the best guess that we can for the future.
But it's a wild ass guess, and
Even by professionals.
who knows what the climate's gonna be.
We don't know if we're gonna be here tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, we do know that those.
Bring the
pipes-
band.
But those pipes may
Those
be
pipes have to be
here, yeah.
changed.
Any other questions? Any other, before we pull the trigger? All right, Richard, now you get to say,
I wish you had said pull the trigger, I vote yes.
What do you need?
all right, but we'll go the other way, David Boaz.
Yes.
And Patricia Caputo.
Yes.
Dominic Garnaja,
Yes.
Joanne Robinson. And I'm a yes. Passes 6-0.
Thanks, everybody, I'll move forward.
6, yes, 0, no.
Right, you guys want some updates on what's going on, Marion?
Yes.
I got three. South Canal, we are stuck in neutral, waiting on this engineer. You see my monthly emails out to this guy, I don't, I hate being in that position, but nothing can be done until this guy's done with his work. The engineer has to create the plan, once we have the plan, then he'll create an RFP and it'll go, but we wait, it's been a year and a half, so. Second,
Has he responded at all?
always,
Yeah.
working on it,
Yeah,
We're still with his work, or
and they're not billing us, I mean, they're billing us incrementally, we paid 50% of the 20K that we originally contracted for. It's just, we have to wait, I don't know what else to say, it's way too late to say, let's look at another engineer.
I'm surprised Coulter isn't making one noise ago.
I deliberately include them on correspondence.
They have a schedule, We saw their schedule.
And I apologize for this, I recommended this company because they generally work for municipalities and the county and authorities. And I think we're kind of like that, but apparently they're not, so it is what it is.
What was the name of that company again?
Simmons and White,
Okay, and they, if we don't get a response from them, do they continue? Behoove us to see if Hinterland Group would actually consider doing this?
well, Hinterland is one of the companies that would almost certainly be considered for the work.
For the work, okay.
The engineering, I don't know.
I didn't know if Hinterland had their own engineering
I could ask,
group.
we had a good experience with Hinterland, so.
Yes, we did.
Alright. Writing it down.
On the committee attendance sheet, I made a notation on the bottom that we made this meeting into combined officers and bids and infrastructure to move the projects forward. And so it's recorded, we have it on tape. Nobody can say that we somehow,
we're transparent.
Alright,
Definitely.
the other project that seems to be moving forward incrementally is North Canal. This week. Seacrest started yanking trees and shrubs and palms out of the North Canal to free up some space to hold water. That's essentially a trick to so that a lawyer can move forward his strategy of acquiring the parcels. At the same time, Joanne is
Process the payment for the tax certificates.
moving on to tax statements.
That's what I was gonna ask.
I jumped the gun, I reported that she had done it already.
No, well, it's a process,
Yeah.
but it's being done. And as soon as I get the confirmation back, I'm gonna immediately then start talking to probably Niels about, there's a 2-year requirement for them, for the tax collector to hold the tax lien certificates. And the reason for the 2 years ostensibly is to give the owner the chance to pay off the lien. Well, the owner's not going to, they're a defunct company for many, many years, so we're gonna try and make a case for making an exception to the 2 years. And then that would, if we can make that case, then we can move it to I always get the name of this office wrong. The next, it goes out of tax collector to
Praise it.
Appraiser.
appraiser, so that the deed sale, the deed auction can be, and that happens every week. So once we get it moved to the auction site, we can get it on an auction docket and actually bid and own them. So that's, I'm just trying to, kick that can down the road as much as I can, so.
But understand there is a possibility that it will take a while, they're not just.
They
even though
can
you want to get on
reject it because it's a statutory requirement that I don't know if there's a loophole to. That we'll have to deal with legally.
They wanna make sure there's no repercussions if anybody would come
Right.
forward, even though they're not and they haven't, we know that.
So we're attacking it from both sides.
Right.
Donald is working with,
There are people that buy tax certificates to make money.
It's
the
not-
That's not that, no, that's.
Yeah,
sooner or later.
Yeah.
but, and
They'll probably do sometime.
we're
not 2 years.
doing everything we can do
Absolutely.
to move this forward. Because that water keeps collecting and
I
collecting.
know.
And it's scary. Last night I just happened to see the canal right after that big storm
Right,
and it's, it's
I do
good,
know.
it's very,
It started, last night it started backing up
yes,
the
yeah.
storm drains.
And
Um,
I drove through it.
so where are we at now? We're at the point where property that doesn't belong to us, but they're connected to our
Right,
is a nuisance now.
Right.
Now it's a danger. So
Right.
we're venturing unit owner money to correct the problem that our property that doesn't belong to us, that makes us toward party, right? And we're, so that's where Ron and Noah say, well, now, we want
Yeah.
pay us for what we had to spend
exactly.
to keep it.
Mhm.
keep our people safe.
And that's,
Right.
but at the same time, the beauty of it is we're actually doing something.
But we're able to, it's not that, we're able.
I should also think we should explain that the tax certificates that we're purchasing does not encompass all the property that gives us the right on both sides of the canal, because there's an easement through there, it doesn't belong in no man's land.
It's an easement, so if you look closely at Papa, the easement is the north bank.
Right,
The tax certificates, the parcels are the canal.
Yeah.
right,
And then when you go below, when you go south of the canal, then it becomes association property. That's basically what you have.
But that piece to the north is no one's.
right.
No,
It has no
Right.
parcel designation.
and if you look,
No one owns
if
it.
you look at Papa.
It doesn't exist.
It closes, the parcel closes on the west side. By the turnpike, but if you go to the east side by your house, it's open, it opens up into
Right.
Harry Hill Road.
I just wanna go on the record that we will not, even when we purchase this, we're not going to own both sides of the canal.
Exactly.
There's still an issue,
We never-
but I wanna go on the record.
Right,
Yeah.
you should,
Because
you should.
somebody's gonna come back and say, well, why did you buy it? When, we know what the problem is, but this is a start.
We can go east to west
Right.
and fix the east to west issue.
Right.
There is a north to south consideration by a group that we cannot address. We don't
Exactly.
own that side of it.
Exactly. And you know, you understand, you understand
We don't own
comfortably.
anything to the north of those parcels.
Right,
So,
and it appears no one does,
Exactly.
so.
but
Okay,
but neither do we care. We
There
don't wanna
must, there
build
must
a
be,
road over there.
no, but there must be a legal process to claim property that nobody owns.
I'm sure there is.
but why would we wanna?
I'm sure there
claim
is.
that part? For what reason?
Because it still needs to be maintained.
There's no one maintaining the
Right.
other bank.
Right.
Now, there's an FPL easement along that
I
street as
know,
well,
that, you know that.
and they don't need anybody's fishing, they come right in on property, get in there and periodically. Lumberjack.
And which I've seen them do,
Sure.
about 4 or 5 years ago. They just.
Is that the one by Camden Pool?
Not Camden Pool,
No,
but in back of Dorchester Pool.
right,
Back, yeah.
what do you want?
I'm talking, you said east and west, I'm sorry, north and south. Wait, Yeah.
East and
Yeah,
west.
east
Yeah,
to west.
north and south would be by Camden Pool, that whole,
Not
No, no,
Camden,
no.
not Camden.
No,
No,
By your house,
no, I know,
the North Canal.
yes,
This
I
is
know
the
the
North
one, I know
Canal.
the North Canal.
by Hastings, in other words, it
I know,
ends at
it's on
Hastings
the
and
other
goes to.
So it's on the other side.
Yes,
There's
yes,
a,
yes.
there's a string bean of a parcel that goes from all the way from Sussex Ave, all the way to Have Hill Road, it's all connected.
Okay,
Some of it is Grove Street, which well, we mow and take care of, but when you click on, when you click on it,
Mhm.
no one comes up as an owner, no one.
Right.
right.
It doesn't even come up as Palm Beach County property.
It doesn't exist.
It's just open-ended.
It doesn't exist
And
digitally.
Right,
apparently this happens in Florida where, you know, what was this before it was Century Village? Swamp.
Yeah.
Nobody
Well, yeah,
cared,
of course
nobody
it
wanted to
is.
own
Somebody
swamp.
wanted to because
Yes,
I don't want anybody to come back and say.
that's why I'm saying east and west, north and south, we.
Yeah.
You know, FPL has the easement that they do routinely clear to, because of those high power lines. And that helps us. So we have no interest in owning that. Easement, or or having anything to do with that easement, you know.
I mean, if we need to get onto those, that North Bank, who's gonna say no? Nobody.
Well, there's, yeah, no, it doesn't exist for all intents and purposes.
Yeah,
Do any of the property owners on the north side drain into that canal?
Yes,
Or they might say no, can we stop? What can we do?
when we go for the permit for the dredging, those people they get
They get notified.
They get notified.
Yeah.
And so can they get up and say, we don't want you to dredge it? I
No,
suppose.
they might say, we want you to dredge it, but we wanna be able to drain into that canal.
One of them already is draining it.
I know, that's why I'm
Historical
asking.
drainage.
If we can't, I'm just,
And for my part, I couldn't care less if they wanna drain into it, it's
Okay, fine.
free water,
alright,
right?
as long as it's not adding to the problem of backing up.
It's the old story of Higgins Electric. Apparently Higgins put an outfall pipe into that canal over by your house. And a previous version of Yuko, way in the past, charged him. He was paying a yearly fee for that.
Right.
And at some point, I believe David put it into that. And
Now-
we just stopped paying and we just said, "No, that's ridiculous."
If there was ever any development, I remember years ago, when I first moved here, I had gotten notification that someone was building a facility over there, some sort of.
Which never happened.
It never happened, but if that were to happen and they wanted to put a high rise over there, which they could, it's like. You know, another tennis towers, you know, well, then maybe we'd have something to say about that drainage ditch.
Okay, it's just one.
Alright, so just to give you an example, and we got a little time. The two parcels over by the turnpike. Next to La Quinta are for sale. The owner wants to be rid of it. A developer who I put him onto came back to me and said. Reason that's not selling is there's some historical drainage issues. That's why nobody wants to sign a land lease, so I thought that was interesting. I said, wait a minute. That parcel borders on West Canal and South Canal. That's ours.
Mhm.
So if they were to develop that property, just like Reflection Bay, they have to come to us for drainage.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Now,
Change.
So it's, in any event, it's to our benefit to own those parcels.
absolutely.
It protects the integrity of our whole drainage system, because we're doing such a nice job with everything else. That one piece could be our Achilles heel if we don't continue to not pay any attention to it.
Alright, guys, before we call it, do you guys have any work or anything you want me to look at? Infrastructure wise or anything else?
I don't really know what our problem is, Greenbrier gets.
Oh, okay, I'm going to.
Greenbrier was flooded so bad.
Yesterday, first time in all the years that I there, the water was backed up to the east end of B building.
We had nowhere to go.
And
Because
yeah,
that wasn't
I mean,
trees,
literally, normally it's flooded going into the golf course. But it actually had backed up, it was backed up 70-80 feet.
Right, so we've got a serious ponding
Yes,
issue
we
in
do.
Greenbrier Circle. This is Dave Israel's building. that pond was originally drained by an illegal piece of drainage
Golf
pipe,
course.
which that a previous cam ran into the golf course and nobody knew that. Okay, well, over the years, trucks ran over it and crushed it, and we put a camera in it, and it's defunct. PS, another piece of pipe that belonged to us. So at some point, when this project does get up and running, I'm gonna have to sit with the project manager and ask for some relief. I can't imagine they're gonna give us all time about this.
It's just that's the whole thing, we've gotta keep on top of these things, you know, it's just.
And I know it's frustrating for the George Colorado has to put his boots on and get into his farm.
Yes.
But it's always George, it's a George, we're gonna get to this, but this project has to get up and running before we.
Yeah, I think a lot of things will be solved once that South Canal really gets done, you know.
Not to mention, once. When Reflection Bay gets going, they're gonna have machines on and workers on the property, this will be an easy thing to fix, and I think they'll be okay. So,
We hope.
just gotta be patient.
If they're putting a retention pond between the back of B building and Southampton, they could actually pipe it right into the retention pond.
Take it out of the
Well, I'm just saying, but they would have to agree to it
of course.
to let us drain into there, and it would benefit them as
I
much as
just
us.
can't imagine they're gonna give us a hard time about this, I think it's a, but to the people that live there, it's pain in the neck.
Oh, speaking of things that drain into other things,
Oh, jeez.
the medical building,
What about it?
what's
Oh.
going on with the?
Alright, so you guys noticed that, well, you noticed because I told you about it, there was some culvert pipe dropped off over there, so I jumped
I
on it.
noticed it.
The managing owner over there explained to me that the county had required them to put in a new catch basin and a new outflow pipe. So I asked for plans, he sent them, I let Dan know. So Dan is trying to get in contact with the vendor that's doing the work. They haven't touched base yet, so I might have to get in there and do a little bit. But last night I spoke to the managing owner, he's in Hong Kong, he told me there is no outflow pipe piercing WPRF property or GO2. He says it's a tie-in to the existing storm drain, which is us.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to take a close look at that, and I don't know, he's telling me that, but I don't know if that's the case.
Well, Dan said that he saw the plans and that they're talking about going through the geotube. I was in your office when he
Exactly.
said that.
So Dan can look at plans better than any of us, and he said it's happening, so. As long as that's the case, this is really Dan's show, so all I gotta do is try to get them two to talk to each other. In the meantime, if the work commences and we don't have any kind of agreement, I just don't want them in 5 days. You know, and I will do that.
I mean, that whole project, you know how much I hate that project, because it just sits there, we're living in a construction zone. You know, they're not moving forward on stuff.
And I originally thought maybe that was a money issue, I'm no longer of that mind, but what I'm hearing is. County's putting a lot of steps in, and each one of them takes time, we look at my projects, it's maddening.
And they're selling the building. So they're not motivated, I
Are
don't
they?
think.
I'm hearing that,
Are
I'm
they?
hearing
What's
that,
going
I'm hearing that that's probably not going to happen.
No, that's what it said.
Now, having said that, they'll probably close tomorrow, but
But we still have no pharmacy,
we still have the function.
and that's just, you know, like, between the construction site and no pharmacy, it's impacting the quality of life for Century Village residents.
Except
This has
that,
to be said.
except that Walgreens, the other Walgreens will deliver.
No, people like to go shopping,
I
they
know, but
like
the
to go pick up
medication,
their little
Yeah.
things, and it's not just medication.
Yeah,
I know that,
yeah.
Let me ask you all the question, if you could go back in a time machine 10 years ago, when Mr. Shear was willing to sell it,
We should have bought
We
it.
should have.
oh,
You did?
let's, should,
Absolutely.
we can't do that
Yes.
because the people years ago, and I don't understand not buying the golf course and.
I understand,
Technically,
but the
what's we
medical-
own? We don't own the recreation, we don't know.
but it doesn't make any sense. You have a piece of private property in the middle of Century Village. It makes no sense whatsoever.
Where this village, well, from what I've been listening to with the parcels, there's 6 or 7, well, 7 is the easement. We don't own that, we don't own a lot of things, so these pieces here and there, so they didn't buy the property that was available. We didn't know, I didn't know when I moved in, that we didn't own
Yeah.
a lot of this.
Yeah.
I would not have moved in here, so we're more aware because we have more of an interest, I guess.
Nothing says that it can't consider, you wanna buy it, buy it.
Now.
Well, now you're not gonna be able to buy it.
Millions of dollars?
If it's on sale, why can't we buy it?
It
What's
was
up with
millions
it?
of dollars back then.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
it's still gonna be
It's
millions
just
of
a matter of
dollars.
more millions now.
It's just a loan. I mean,
Exactly right.
I run a management company to manage it.
yeah,
I mean,
David.
David Bowie wants to say something.
If Walgreens was turning a profit, that store would still be open.
Yes,
Exactly.
there was
So we
Walgreens.
can't fault Walgreens for moving.
Of
No,
course
no, I'm
Of
not.
course
No,
not.
oh, no.
And guaranteed that the landlord raised the rent.
That's not our concern.
I'm just saying that our
No.
community,
That's what I'm told.
our community is deprived
This is
of
small.
services that we enjoyed.
Yeah.
And that we have a construction site,
I
It
agree
is
with the construction
unsightly.
site.
I'm just saying. And we have no control over it
No,
whatsoever.
the building.
We don't own it.
We don't own it. If we owned it, we might be able to control it. I
But
don't
we
know
own the
that there's an
roads to get
appetite.
to it. We need to find a way to prevent them from using our roads to get to that building.
That was the old, that was the
Well,
old Dave
yes.
Black idea.
No, that's a little tricky too.
That's a bad discussion.
Right,
Just,
not for you.
just a comment on the status of the project, that's all.
Okay,
I'm just.
what else do we have? Anything else?
I'm done. Ready for lunch.
I'll entertain a motion.
I.
Oh, I'm sorry, David.
Okay.
With
Yeah,
with Dominic's acceptance and Maureen's acceptance. She's the only one from the executive board that bothers to show up at bids meetings or an office
Right,
meeting.
right.
I'd like, if everybody's amenable to it, I'd like to have Maureen become part of the bids and infrastructure.
That's an excellent idea.
I accept, you accept.
What do you think, Tom? Is she bids material?
Oh, she's business material.
Alright.
We should turn the
You're
camera.
bidding on Maureen, wait a minute. What?
I think we should, turn the camera. If it's adjourned, oh, is it?
No,
adjourned?
I have to make a decision, so.
Okay, we're not adjourned yet.
Oh,
Actually,
sorry.
Actually, no, this is Dom's school.
Dominic.
It's Don,
Yeah.
Dominic, would you consider adding Miss Maureen Debeguer to this committee to help you in your endeavor?
Yes, I would.
Yes, yes.
Maureen, are,
Yes.
are there any officers that have anything to say or any questions they want to ask Maureen before we ask her if she'll accept the nomination to that position?
No.
Okay, do you accept that nomination to that position to work with the officers and the chair, Dominic, on the bids and infrastructure committee?
Yes. I have a lot to learn, but yes.
Okay, so you get the knife, we'll do the cut, we'll do the blood oath, and then we'll be all set.
And just
I
think
would
about
like
this.
I would like to say for the camera that one of the ways you get on a committee is to attend
The meeting.
That's correct, that's
Show
correct.
up.
That's
Show
so all the
interest.
time, not just some of the.
All right.
Thank you, Maureen, thank you.
Thank
Dominic.
Good job, all right, that was a good suggestion,
Okay.
I meant that especially for the executive board.
yes.
Yes.
Now we just gotta give her a compass so she knows north, south.
Teach you how to use
It's
it.
one of the easiest.
Do we have a motion to adjourn now?
Yes.
Okay,
To adjourn.
all right, Joanne,
Thanks, everyone.
Joanne, thank you for recording, no cursing.
This is complicated.